Welcome again to the Actors Vow. This is Denise Baratrabat, and I'm so happy to have you here again. I know, I've been off 2 weeks again, but things have been going great with the Actors Vow coaching program. If you haven't heard about it, the Actors Vow has a coaching program with classes, with a membership platform, with a community, because what else do we need as actors than a community that supports you and you can keep growing and keep learning. So it has been a great first month with the Actors Vow coaching program. If you're interested in joining the program, the waiting list is there. You can sign up and then you'll be the first one to know when doors open again. Doors are closed right now. Nobody can sign up. But if you're in that waiting list, you're going to be the first one to get that email and you're going to be the first one to register if that's what you want to do when doors open again. So having said that, I also took 2 weeks because today I'm bringing you an incredible guest. I promise you all this wait has been worth it because today's guest is Christine McKenna-Tirella. Now, Christine is the New York casting specialist at Backstage, and we all love Backstage. She's also a New York-based casting director. Before she joined Backstage, the magazine and the online platform, she also worked extensively in casting across a variety of mediums, including commercials, TV, film, theater, and she worked at high-profile offices such as Stewart Whitley Casting, Harriet Bass Casting, Telsey+Co, and Paladino Casting. She is currently serving as a member of the Women's Council of LEAP, LEAP. That's an organization for Irish and Irish American women in business, and she's also a proud member of the Advisory Council for Ring of Keys. Christine is an alum of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. Yes, she studied acting before she became a casting director, and we're going to be talking about that in the interview. She also holds an LLB in law from Queen's University, Belfast, and she's currently taking graduate courses at Harvard Extension School. Other than being a casting director and all-around awesome person, she's also passionate about all things theater, TV, film, fitness, and pop culture. I truly enjoyed talking to Christine, and you are in for a treat. Christine and I are going to be talking all about the industry, casting directors, auditions, and all the things that you should know as an actor. I know this interview is going to be so helpful for your career, and I cannot wait for you to hear it. So I don't think Christine needs further introduction. Let's welcome Christine McKenna-Tirella to the Actors Vow. Hi, Christine. Welcome to the Actors Vow. I'm so happy you can be here with us today.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat to you today.
Of course. So I wanted to ask you first because before becoming a casting director, I saw that you studied acting, and I'm guessing you did some acting work.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Awesome. So the first question I ask all actors that come here is, what made you want to be an actor?
Well, I loved TV, film, and theater, and I just felt so alive when I performed, and I wanted to share stories, and I just was always a bit of an outgoing loudmouth, and I think that those are the things that bring you into acting, loving the craft, and also, being confident enough to go for it, because you have to have a lot of confidence to go and try to be an actor.
Absolutely. Did you find that love as a child or while you were growing up?
Yeah, well, my parents were fantastic. So I'm from Northern Ireland, and we have the Lyric Theatre and the Grand Opera House Belfast, and a few small theatres. And I was involved in community theatre. I was part of Bangor Operatic group when I was younger, and on a Saturday I would do a lot of drama club. So and I studied it in school too. So I was lucky enough that my parents brought me to see shows that traveled through either the Lyric or Grand Opera House, or just in general as part of my education. They wanted me to be outgoing. They wanted me to speak well and be confident, and they put me in drama class.
That's awesome. And it seems like you had a supportive family, which is hard in this industry. I know a lot of actors don't have that so you could pursue what you loved?
Yeah, well, it's tough. So I think that my generation of my family were the first people to be able to go to university. It wasn't available to my parents or my grandparents, and so they were a little nervous when I said I wanted to be in the entertainment business, when I wanted to be an actor. And so the compromise was struck that I would do a law degree first. I went to Queen's University Belfast, and then I moved to New York to pursue acting and to go to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I studied for 2 years after I did a degree. So I always had something to fall back on. And it's not necessary to do that, but that was my pathway. That was how I kind of did things. And I always like to remind actors that there's no expiry date to being an actor, right? You're not starting too late. You're not starting too early. You're starting at the right time for you in your life. And so if you're like me and you started at in your 20s versus, to pursue acting professionally instead of 16 or, earlier, it doesn't matter. You're on your path.
Yeah, I love that you said that. That's the question I almost get the most. Like, is it too late? I'm 20. I've never acted before. Like, I can't be an actor anymore. We think that unless you're a child or a teenager and you already made it and you're famous, whatever that means for you, it's not possible. And that's not true. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, 100. And also, if you're 20-year-olds, you have so much to happen yet. I didn't know anything when I was 20. And I mean that with love. It's an exciting journey, and everything that happens in your life informs you as an actor, right? You bring it into the room with you. You'll have more emotional depth. You'll understand and be able to drop into scenes better as you grow as a person. So definitely, it's never too late. You can start acting at any age.
I agree. I find that with my students a lot. And when I also was studying, now I'm realizing in acting school, they make you do these very emotionally deep scenes, about divorce and things that in your age you've never experienced. So you're never going to be able to understand, no matter how much, unless you experience life as an actor, you're never going to be able to portray that in a truthful way.
Yeah, and then what you're doing at school is you're trying to prepare yourself, right? So you're trying to put those imaginary circumstances and know how to do the homework when you haven't experienced it in life. Because, I don't want anyone to go out and do dangerous things just to experience it, right? Like, don't do drugs, like, don't do anything crazy. Because you hopefully also can do homework to build a character if you haven't experienced it yet. But I totally agree with you. When I was at acting school too, I thought I knew heartbreak, and I thought I knew a lot of things that I did know in a way, but I have grown and know in a deeper way now that I'm in this place in my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when did that switch in your career happen? What moment did you realize you also like the casting aspect of it?
Yeah, so truly pretty early on when I graduated from school. And I like to be really brutally honest. I was a good actor, but I was not good at the business of acting. And it is a 50-50 game, It is, you have to have talent and you have to be good and prepared and maybe gone to school or do some studying and do your homework on how to be an actor. But the other half is the business of acting. It's auditioning, it's networking, it's making sure that your survival job that you have to do doesn't become too much, right? Like, you have to make sure that you're still doing as much work on your acting career as you do making the rent. And all of that can be very hard to juggle. I wasn't very good at that. And so I realized, okay, I also had some realities, like, I don't want to move out of New York. I love New York. And so I didn't want to tour or things that I actually work in casting, right? You have to have a certain personality to want to do certain things in acting. And I was like, okay, I want to stay in the city. I love, now that I've met you and every time I meet someone or I know someone well, I could tell 5 monologues and 3 plays and maybe a 32-bar song that you should learn because you're perfect for it, right? I was so good at figuring out other people's audition material and what they should be kind of preparing for them that I realized that that's either an agent or a manager or it's casting. And because I feel so deeply for actors and how hard it is to be an actor, I really wanted to be in the casting room. I wanted to be behind the table, to be able to empower actors in that way, right? The thing that I couldn't do for myself, I wanted to give to other people.
I love that. And I love that you said that. I feel like you were very honest with yourself. And there's a lot of actors that invest, 4 years in studying acting, and they're like, well, now I have to do this because I already started and I'm going to throw away all that I studied. And I think we don't realize a lot of times there's so much you can do in the industry. If you studied acting, you don't have to be a theater actor or film actor.
Right. And it might be more interesting not to be an actor, right? Like, there are so many different roads, but when we start off, I don't know, about you, but you only think there's acting and directing, and you think everything magically falls into place for production, when you get to set, and there's just this really wonderful, interesting world. And really another thing that was so good for me when I transitioned into casting is to let go of the idea that it was not, I had failed, right? If acting wasn't perfect for me, and it wasn't right for me. And I didn't want to, that very thing. Oh, I've studied for 2 years. I moved to New York. I really want to, I said I was doing this thing, and I got so close to big opportunities sometimes, but it wasn't right for me. And so being able to really be honest with myself and say, there's another pathway that fills my cup as much, if actually more, right? Like, and I'm meant to do this thing. And that was exciting to find out. So yeah, all actors, you pursue acting, but also, look at the other avenues. Maybe there's something else in the business that you might enjoy doing while you act or instead of acting.
Absolutely. And we as people change. Maybe that was the right thing for you when you were 18 and you were right, that was it. But we evolve, we grow, and then you change as a person, and that might not work for you. And stepping out of that and realizing, being honest, will really save you a lot of years of disappointments. So it's great that you were able to do that. And I wanted to ask you, how did that exactly happen? Because maybe someone listening now is thinking about becoming a casting director. Where should you start?
Yeah, so there's no school for casting. So when people tell me they want to be in casting, I let them know, a casting director is hired for their mental database, right? So the first step for you is to start getting really curious and interested in actors. Like, who's on Broadway, who is doing shows at Joe's Pub, like who's really popular in Atlanta right now, who's working in LA. Like, just get curious about actors, and really kind of Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Backstage, Playbill, Deadline.com, right? Like, start reading those, or just follow them on social media, and you'll get all the headlines, right? Like, when you're scrolling mindlessly through Facebook or Instagram, you can by following those guys, you'll learn a lot about the business just by being on your phone casually. And then it's administrative skills. So a lot of a casting job is, preparing the audition. So being really tidy, neat, good with admin is pretty important. And then, there's internships. That's how you kind of get experience with casting at the moment. And I have a lot of gripes with internships. I was pretty lucky. I did a short internship, part-time internship. I supported myself during it. And then I was able to freelance with the company. The company liked me, and I started working with them, not for a lot of money, but still I started getting some credits as a freelance casting assistant. And I started just kind of building my resume from there. But I know that it's really tough to be an intern, especially some companies ask for full-time internships. It's not paid or very little pay. And you've got to live and survive in one of the major cities in the world, either LA or New York. And so it's a really tough thing. And I'm a big advocate for trying to figure out a better and different way for people to get experience, and not have to do that time for free.
Yeah. Okay. Those are really great tips. Thank you. So now I want to talk more about the casting side and what goes inside casting. I feel like a lot of actors see that as a very scary thing. We learn about all the artistic part, but as you said, we don't really understand the part of business. And when we look at it, it's like, well, casting is there, like there's a separate entity that looks very scary and is judging me. So, from your opinion, what is this misconception that actors have of casting?
Yeah, so that's so interesting. You said judging. I want you to know I can speak for my office and how I operate as a casting director. I'm a soccer mom. I want you, if I could be up there, like or a dance mom, maybe if I could be back in the back doing the dance with you, so you can like feel like you've got a friend there, like that's who I am. I know so many casting directors that are the same. Really, we want you to succeed. And why we want every actor that comes into our room to succeed, you're making us look good in front of the directors and the producers, because we've chosen you to come into the space and be part of the audition process. So I actually try to see casting as your ally, right? We have brought you in for a reason. We believe in your talent. We're interested in exploring you as an actor. So just like let go of thinking that we are gonna like put you on a blacklist if you don't do well, right? Like that's not how it's gonna happen. Also, if you go into an audition room and it's not great, like you had nerves, you just feel like the way you practiced it didn't happen right in the room. There are some ways to deal with it. So you could either kind of mid-side say, I'm so sorry, can I start again? I've just lost my way a little bit and I want to settle in the scene and give my best work. And if a casting director has time, I've never said no to that, right? Like everyone will say yes if they can. Just really take a little more power back. You're allowed to just ask to do it again. Or, maybe it goes wrong and you don't have a good day that day. And one audition will not make or break you, right? If it's a pattern that like 5 times I've brought you in and you're like totally disoriented and like you seem like you haven't really done your homework or you haven't prepared well or you're hungover, I don't know, like if something really feels like there's a pattern, that's different. But if you just have one bad day, I'm gonna see you again, right? I'm gonna assume you've had a bad day. You're a person and I'm a person.
Yeah. Right, absolutely. What about, now that you're bringing up that, what about being late? I know some casting directors are like, no, once you're late once, I don't want to see you again.
Again, it's about a pattern for me. So if I see you and you're like, I am so sorry, I know I had a noon appointment, but my last audition ran long, or I got stuck if you're in New York, I don't know if everyone here that listens to your podcast is New York based, but like getting stuck on the subway is a real thing. Like, like you get stuck and you can't do anything about it. Or whatever. There could be lots of reasons why you don't make an audition on time. Try to call the office or email them just to give them the heads up that you're running late. I think that's very professional, just as you would for, I don't know, a hair appointment or a dentist appointment. Like you let people know, and that's a very professional way of dealing with it. However, again, if it's like every time I call you in, you run late, or you don't turn up, I'm going to say, okay, this is the phantom actor, like this guy, this woman, this person just never turns up. So I'm not going to give that person the same shot that I would give the person that turns up and maybe just hasn't nailed it yet.
Absolutely. And yeah, that also tells you a lot, how they're going to behave once they get cast. So it absolutely makes sense what you're saying. And I think a lot of actors forget that this is a relationship. As I said, I think we look at it as like you're a separate entity that's up there and we're down here, and the communication needs to be there. It's still a relationship. And if there's an issue, communicating, I think, is always important. Sometimes we feel like we can't say that or we can't email you. It's like, well, if it was the hairdresser, you would, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing is just try to do your best to get there early. And why I would recommend maybe getting there 15 minutes early or 20 minutes early, because then you get to go to the bathroom, you get to freshen up, you get to maybe just sit outside the audition room and calm down, look over the side. Like, that might be a way of building in that whatever time your audition really is, you aim to be there 20 minutes before, or whatever your process outside the audition room is to get ready to go into the audition. Make sure you set yourself up so you're not feeling like you're throwing down your bag and rumbling with your sides and like run into the door,
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know from your point of view, what is it the thing that you're looking for in the audition room? Because I'm guessing you're not looking for a perfect opening night performance. So what is it that casting directors are looking at?
Yeah, it's great that you said that. So it doesn't have to be Oscar worthy in that moment. It doesn't have to be ready to go right to the show. If it is a long running show, if it's something, because I've worked on Broadway a lot and a lot of national tours and things like that. If it is a show where it's set and the characters are already created, doing a bit of homework as an actor as to like what other people have done with it is really smart, right? Because they've gone with that for the tour or for Broadway or for whatever, because that is the right interpretation according to the director that started the show, right? So like that is who the character is. So I'm not telling you not to have any originality about how you go about your character creation, but I think it's smart to do a little homework and just think about the ways in which the character's been approached before and kind of do your best to interpret that. If it's a TV film, a TV or film, or a new project that no one's done before, you have such a blank canvas to work with. You can really prepare that character any way that you really see fit is right. Sorry, I've just lost my train of thought there. What was the rest of the question? I'm so sorry. I've kind of gone off on a tangent.
That's okay. So as a casting director, do you have a preconceived notion of what you are expecting from that role? Or sometimes, you get surprised and you're like, this is not what I was expecting and I love it.
Yes. So that's great. So that's why I started down that pathway then, because, for a show that's already established, I'm going to have an idea about what my director likes to see. And so I will, casting directors will coach you into that direction. So you might have prepared something else and then I'll go, great, here's the interpretation that I'd love for you to do, right? Like here are things to hit in the scene and I'll let you read it again. So there's always that opportunity to play there. But I love when someone brings in their own ideas and their own way of going, because ultimately it shows that you're a very creative artist. You've done your homework, you've cared about this audition, you've prepared well, which bodes well for rehearsal. And really then it's about being able to, if it's not exactly perfect, because it's just an audition, we're just playing around, being able to let go of the thing that you've prepared and maybe going in a different direction, not because it's wrong or right, but because that's kind of what rehearsal is, right? Like that's what rehearsal is. You're doing it different ways. You're figuring different volumes of emotions out. So just being comfortable with playing around. And yes, look, actors are amazing. That's why I work in this business. You guys are really cool. You're so creative and I admire the work you do for projects you're not getting paid for yet, right? Because that's the audition. And I love to be moved by you. So bring in your own spirit, bring in your own interpretation, and just say, yeah, I can do it a different way, but here's what I brought in today.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing as a casting director, you just see so many performances. And if they all are trying to copy what you already saw, it kind of goes blending in together. But if you see something different, it's also going to stand out for you.
Yes, 1,000,000%. And what I would say about, in particular, musical theater, because I get asked a lot because of my portfolio about musical theater songs, especially Golden Age of Broadway, there's only X amount of musicals that are Golden Age of Broadway, right? So like I'm going to hear for a show that maybe it's Sound of Music, which I, worked on or something like that, I'm going to hear pieces from Carousel and Sound of Music. And, I'll hear kind of the same 5 songs over and over again. And so that actress or actor being able to bring in their own interpretation of the song is so important. Telling their own story is key.
Yeah, it must be so refreshing. I can only imagine seeing the same thing again and again. So I wanted to go back to the relationship between actor and casting director. I wanted to know, you said you are trying to see the actors that are out there. How can an actor create that relationship with a casting director? Do you think actors should be actively trying to create those relationships?
Yeah, I mean, it's smart. I think that there's a line to be drawn, right? Here's the smartest way to reach out to a casting director. When we are working on a project that you are right for, you get your headshot, your resume, and a cover letter to let us know why you're perfect, right? And in that cover letter, if you're just doing a regular submission on Backstage or Actors Access or Casting Networks, whatever you're seeing the breakdown on, when you apply to us, if you can write a note, just a note of like, a note to the casting director. The best note is, if I'm casting a commercial with skateboarders, I have 10 years skateboarding experience, right? Or Sound of Music, I am an operatically trained singer that can sing to F5, right? Whatever, like something about the project. That's the smartest way to reach out to a casting director. You can also reach out to casting directors and ask to be their readers, let them know that you're, a cover letter about general kind of experience about who you are as an actor, and maybe include your reel and material like that, and say you want to be a reader for them at some stage, and get into the room and maybe try to build a relationship from there. I recommend doing that after you've auditioned for that person, so they kind of know you a little bit, or they've seen some of your work. And then, we have the call sheet on backstage.com. It's available for subscribers. I think it's subscriber based, or it might be free, but
I think it's for subscribers, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, there's a lot of other stuff that's great, that's free on Backstage too. There's lots of editorial that's free, but the call sheet, I think it's because we maintain that, and it will let you know how an agent or a casting director wants you to stay in touch with them. And it might be, it's always going to be no direct calls, guys. No one wants to pick up their cell phone, I'm sorry, to speak to someone they don't know, right? Like that's like getting a cold call from someone trying to sell you a credit card. Like, you don't want it, and it'll happen at the wrong time. Someone will be sitting down to dinner or something. It's not going to work well to do a cold call. Don't do it. They'll let you know if they prefer a mail-in or they prefer you to submit via electronically only, because some offices are green now, like they only want you to go to like a particular form or an email that they have that they get new submissions through. And then once you've auditioned for someone, I think the best thing to do is just stay in touch, right? So, write them a thank you note. A thank you note goes a long way to say thank you for bringing me in. And even if I'm not right for this role, please consider me for other things. And then a good follow-up in a little while, if I've not brought you in for a project, would be to be, hey, Christine, I just, I got my website updated, or I was just in this show, or let me invite you to a show, or, there's ways in which, that type of thing to be an organic, professional way to stay in touch with a casting director.
Right. And always, I think, showing you and offering you something, right? Like, it's any kind of relationship. I feel like some actors, I've seen some cover letters that are like, oh, this is all my work, cast me. And that's it. But there has to be something else there.
Yeah. And, once you feel like you are being auditioned a few times by an office and you someone might know you there, right? It's also nice to reach out for no reason at all other than to say, congratulations, right? Congratulations. I just saw Chicago, or, I just saw blah, blah, blah. Like whatever they're working on in the office you're not asking for an audition. You're not doing anything. You just want to say thank you. You're doing really good work, and I like what you do too, right? Like everyone appreciates that. They might not get back to you, but they'll read it and they'll appreciate it, right? I know I did when I was an assistant, and if someone remembered me versus like the casting director, like I always like, oh, that's so nice that like that actor knows that I work on this, right? Like that actor noticed that it's not just the casting director or something,
Yeah, we're all people. We all like to be appreciated. Absolutely. I love that. So now that you also brought up the cover letters and headshots and resume, I wanted to know your opinion on headshots and how important they are. I've gotten like very different opinions. Some casting directors saying, yes, you got to invest the money on that. Very important. Others saying, it doesn't really matter that much.
I think that you need a professional headshot. That is absolutely solid. What you spend on it I don't have a judgment on that, right? Like, I think you have to spend some money on it. It has to be professional. Don't get an amateur to take your shots, or like, don't take them yourself. They're not selfies. Please, no selfies. But what I would say is, just do your homework on the style of photographer that you decide to go with and decide to book. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You might be able to spend a few $100s, maybe $200, $300, $400, and really get quality shots. What you should keep in mind is this is an investment, hopefully for a few years, right? So it feels like a lot of money up front, and I know it is. It is. But it's going to go on your website. It's going to be used for every job application you put in for. Hopefully you can use it for a long time and you love them and they're really right for you. So I think that an $100 shot can look just as good as an $1,000 shot if it's the right photographer and you have good chemistry with that person and you get good shots. So just do your research and look on that photographer's website. You're the consumer there, right? So pick something that you're like, oh, I really like this style. I think this person these shots would look great if he took or she took my shots. So just do some homework and invest wisely, because it can last you years and years.
I agree. I also always say, it's not as much as like the style, which is great, but also are you comfortable to be yourself in that? I feel like a lot of times actors choose headshots that look great and they want to look, the best, like models. And it's like, okay, but you're an actor. We need to see your personality. We don't need to see how perfect you can look in a picture.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great point. Don't go for glamour shots, right? It's very tempting, especially for us women. We want to look really great, like really, really great. But we should look like ourselves on our best day. So, you don't want to go crazy with Photoshop. You don't want to go super glamour with like a lot of makeup and like super hyper kind of model look, because it's hard to look like a model every day, right? Right? And that person probably won't be able to come into the room because you can't Photoshop yourself in person, right? So don't, avoid that. Just take a really nice, really lovely shots of yourself. And a good headshot photographer, you should have a dialogue beforehand about what you want to get out of the shoot and what they're going to do, and you should feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great tips. So now that we're talking about pictures and all that, I want to go into social media. It's such a big thing nowadays, and I also have heard very mixed opinions. I had Ken Davenport from, I don't know if you know him, but he also works on Broadway. He's a producer.
Yes, I love Ken. Ken's amazing.
Yeah, he was here the other day and he was telling me how, yes, social media is such a big part of casting now. So I wanted to hear your opinion on it.
It's become a big part of casting. But I have this rule. You have to decide. It's yes or no. You are in or you're out, right? And so either that means you have public profile and you're aware that you're an actor that then I'm able to search you on Instagram and find you. And then, I'm going to expect to look you up and see a professional actor Instagram, right? And I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. Or I look you up and it says, this is a private, I'm going to just use Instagram because I think it's the most common that we look up. It's a private Instagram, but on the top in that little bio, I can click through to your website, or, you, the actor, you can direct people to something that brings you to your, what you want us to see as an actor, right? So that's the way to do it. You keep it super private and it's all your babies, pets, and I don't know, brunches. Or you do that plus like you as the actor, right? And you as a performer, and that's part of your organic Instagram feed. I also admire these phenomenal creators like yourself, people that are on different mediums like TikTok. And I mean, I'm such a dinosaur. I'm going to say TikTok 10 times because I don't know. But I admire people that to make content because it is definitely something that people like agents and managers track. If you start to have an organic audience on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, you can be monetized. Your name can be something that it attracts ticket sales, right? And that's probably what Ken was thinking about, because he's a producer. So he's thinking, okay, this actor is talented, and also, 500,000 people follow them or whatever. And, those are really loyal audience members, and they'll want to go see this person or see this person on TV and support the show. And so that's why Ken thinks that way, right? Like, he's thinking, ding, that's organic. That's normal, because that's the space that he works in.
It's almost an assured investment. Those followers are there.
Exactly. And, for me, for casting, why would I be going to your Instagram? I'm going to your Instagram for a different reason. Yes, your audience is interesting to me, but then I want to see you, the creator, right? If it's public, I want to see if you do comedy or whatever. I'm going to click on that. So it should be something you're really proud of. Or, if I'm trying to figure out if you really look like your headshot, I'm going to look at some, selfies and things like that. And ultimately, I'd love to be also navigated to, or be able to click on you, the artist. Like, if you're a singer, I want to see you play your guitar and sing, or whatever you do. I would like to see that, because that's what's brought me over. I'm trying to figure out if you're right for my project.
Okay. Yeah. So a website with video reels, a video, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Or, I think that you can have short clips of yourself on Instagram doing things, or, I don't know, TikTok. I'm such a dinosaur. Do I keep things? If I start a TikTok tomorrow, Denise, will it keep my clips, or does it delete like Snapchat?
It keeps them there. It keeps them there.
There you go. So I could do my little something. I don't know.
Yeah, I personally think TikTok is the way now for actors. You can there's so many people acting on TikTok, so you can create your own little clips of all the different types you have and everything. I think it's great.
What's super useful for TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, it's certainly great for actors that also want to get into the influencer space. Because, influencer work there's a lot out there, like sponsored content and that type of thing. I certainly know a lot about that user generated content. It's a huge market, because we're all on these social media sites, kind of organically scrolling. And so, you become a product too, or you help sell a product. And so it's I think it is the future of commercials. So I think that it's definitely worth an actor exploring.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is the new commercials that we have now. So yeah, I wanted to ask you, since you brought up the little clips, I also have heard different opinions about demo reels and clips. I've heard that nowadays casting directors are preferring more like short clips that are concise to one type, more than a whole video reel.
Yes, I think that's the smart way to do things. So this is what I recommend. I think that a reel is only 1 to 2 minutes long. Which it seems like a short amount of time, but that's a long time for attention, right? For someone that might have to review hundreds of reels a day. And so unfortunately, someone's eye might not stay till that very last moment, right? So first of all, if you do just have one reel, you want to put your best material first, the stuff that you're really super proud of first. And I really recommend that, you break it out. So 1 or 2 minutes doesn't really define you as an artist, right? So that's kind of hard to fit everything that you do well in. So I love to see reels that are short and well defined. So your comedy reel, or your musical theater reel, your legit singing, your dance, your whatever. I don't know what your magic sauce is. Your language reel, what language? French? It's like I want, just get really detailed descriptions. Super helpful, because my role as a casting director, I'm going to your site. I'm going to your site because I'm looking for one thing, right? I'm looking for that person that speaks French, or who truly is fluent in French, and they're also going to be skateboarding. I don't know. I'm obsessed with skateboarding. I need to see your special skills, and if you can show me a quick video, perfect.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Those are great tips.
Oh, it's easier than ever, right? We literally have HD cameras, on our phones. So you guys, it's easier than ever to get online and share material.
Absolutely. And talking about that, it's easier than ever now too because we're in a pandemic. So everything has been transferred online. How do you think things have changed because of it? And do you think it's gonna stay like that in a way?
Yeah. Of course this year has been devastating, and I don't make light of it. Uh, but there are elements of this that I think are worth conversation about keeping, Denise, right? So, like virtual auditions, for example, like being able to be anywhere. Think about, LA, you guys get stuck in traffic, on the highway for hours. You're going across town to auditions, et cetera, et cetera. What if you could actually have 4 auditions in an hour because you get to do them virtually, right? Like, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about, the person that has to work today and they only have one lunch break, and they can zoom in or, virtual audition in. We have that on Backstage. They have it on Actors Access. To an audition and be seen and considered, and also not lose their job. Like, I think that I get to see more talent. I get to be more inclusive. And I think that that's exciting.
Do you have a preference in, like, if you like them more in person because you get to talk more to the person and, feel their energy a little bit more than through a camera?
Yeah, and I think that'll come down to the director and the producer's preference. Like, I think ultimately callbacks, like final callbacks, will always be, in person, hopefully in person. But for me as a casting director, getting self-tapes or being able to virtually audition someone is a really great tool because I get to see more people. So I get to consider, 50 more people or 100 more people than I could have if I was only seeing people in person, coming in and out of the audition space because of time and logistics. Again, yeah, do I miss, being in rooms with people? Yeah, but we have to evolve and kind of innovate, and the pros of maybe staying semi-virtual are more exciting to me than the cons.
I agree. I do think things will stay a little bit virtual, and I love it. I've always loved self-tapes. I mean, personally, I'm kind of an introvert, so I like being behind the camera. Walking into the room is great too, and now I miss it so much. I would do anything to do an in-person audition now, but yeah, I love that part of having both aspects. You don't have to choose one or the other.
Well, and what I like particularly for you, the actor, taking back some power and some, the actor's vow, what you can do. When you self-tape, you get to send me the best take, right? It's not just coming in and going out and like hoping that it went well. Like, I know that you've maybe done this 4 or 5 times, or, you've had time to like send me the best thing. And so you get to really show me your best work.
Absolutely. And you also get to make yourself look the best. Like, you get a nice backdrop that fits you. You get nice lights. I don't know. I love the creative part of it. I love like fashion and lights and all these things. So I really enjoy creating those self-tapes as an actor. I think it's another creative aspect that we can add to it.
And while you're building your resume, if you don't have a demo reel yet, you could use a self-tape as part of a demo reel so that I get to see something. If you're proud of the work you did in that audition and you want to share it, I think that that's another way to share some work with me as a casting director.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. It's better than not knowing at all how they act, of course. So I want to know more personally about you as a casting director. What is the thing that you enjoy the most? I know you've worked a lot on Broadway, so tell us like your favorite project.
Oh, wow. So I'm super proud of, this is going to just sound so Pollyanna, but I am super proud of every project that I put together because it's a creative process, and you have to get a lot of people aligned to agree on a big cast of people, and it can be challenging. And so every cast that I put together as part of a team, I'm just so proud of them when I get to see them on the road or on Broadway or wherever. It has the same sense of satisfaction. And what I love about what I do, I think I've kind of already hinted to it, is just that I admire actors. You guys, the vulnerability and creativity that you bring into the room all the time is just so beautiful, and getting to see work before anyone else does, right? You get to see kernels of what that person's going to do during a show in the audition room, and it's truly very moving at times, right? I'm going to admit I've cried in audition rooms before because the performance has moved me, because I love art. So that's what's exciting to me. And I know I didn't name a project in particular, but they're all my babies, and so it's hard to pick one. It's hard.
Oh yeah, that's a great answer. And you get to see the process. I think that's very exciting. I think directors get that too, seeing the actor grow from the audition to the final performance. And that's beautiful. So before we end, I want to ask you 3 short questions, and you can answer to the best of your ability. My first one is, can you tell us your top 3 Broadway shows? As Christine, not as a casting director, what do you enjoy watching?
Oh, wow. The top 3 Broadway shows I've ever seen. Is that right? Ever seen, just top shows?
Sure, yeah. Or your favorites, and doesn't have to be the best.
Okay. Well, when I first moved to New York, one of the first pieces I saw was Translations on Broadway, and that's a show about a play about the border of Ireland, and I was really moved because that's an experience of mine, and I grew up there, and to see it on Broadway was really phenomenal. To go super commercial, if you haven't seen Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, it's really fun. They've done such a great job with it. And then I think my third one would be Chicago, because I worked on it. So I was really proud of the work I did as part of the casting team there. And it's Fosse, and just Fosse's work is so iconic. I mean, it's one of the first pieces that you learn in dance school, all that jazz piece, and to see the auditions of that was thrilling. So those are the top at the top of my head.
I love Chicago. I love the dances, the songs. I love that show. Awesome. The next question is...
Oh, great. Yeah. Intent to Live, Larry Moss. Respect for Acting, Uta Hagen.
Yes. I love that one. Classic. Love it. Okay. And my last question is, what is a movie that you could watch anytime?
Just one? Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay. I love it. I love that movie. That's a movie that I watched when I moved to America a long time ago, and I barely spoke English, and I didn't really understand it. I thought, this is such a weird movie. And I recently rewatched it, and I thought it was incredible. So yeah, what a great movie.
Yeah, it's just really magical, because it is weird. It was very new, and how it was shot. It's just so smart. And the performances are lovely, and it's the first one that came to mind of many, many, many that I'd recommend.
Okay, so tell the listeners where they can find you and work with you. I know you coach actors too, so tell us about that.
Yeah, great. So on Backstage, we have a series called the Actors Toolkit, and they are free. You just have to, once a month, and we cover different things every month. So actually, it's funny you were talking about demo reels. We're covering demo reels in class this month. And if you can't make it live to the class, we actually put it on YouTube afterwards. So go to Backstage's YouTube channel and subscribe, because all that content's free, guys. So much really great stuff. It's not just me. We have other industry experts that speak. And so, I love to give all the information that's taken me like a decade to learn about the business. I just want to give it to you. So please, tune in, totally free. Lots of editorial. We also have a podcast called In the Envelope, and I'm just a small part of it. I do a segment at the end. I do a little bit of advice, and I talk about some of the casting calls we have on Backstage. But the start of it is Jack Smart, his position is that he does all of the award season stuff. So I'm blanking on his exact title. I think it's award season editor, and he talks to celebrities that are up for big awards in the season. So we talk to amazing people. Like amazing. So check that out. And then if you want to follow me and what I'm up to, my Instagram is at McKenna-Tirella, which is my last name. Yeah, and yeah, those are the main things to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your podcast, and I love that you're doing so much value and content for actors for free. So everybody, for sure, go look at that. You're gonna learn so much. So thank you, Christine, for being here with us today. It was awesome talking to you.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hello, it's me again from Los Angeles, and I really hope you enjoyed this interview, and I'm hoping you took notes. I think this is one of those conversations that you can listen again and again. Everything that Christine said is gonna be so meaningful and important for your career, whether it's right now and you're just starting out or later on in life. Connections in this career, in this industry that we're in, is everything, and learning to listen and learning to create that relationship and understanding that we're all people and that we all love our jobs and we're here because we're passionate about what we do. And that is so beautiful. So I hope you took a lot out of this conversation and you're going to be able to implement it now or in the future. Thank you again, Christine, for coming to the podcast and sharing all these amazing tips with us. I hope you're having an awesome week. There will be an episode next week with an awesome guest too. I'm very excited for that. I don't have a lot of updates personally. I am watching The Handmaid's Tale. So if you're watching The Handmaid's Tale, the last season just came out. So let me know if you're watching it. Let me know if you love it. I think the performances are incredible. The cinematography is so good in that show. The writing, everything about it. Also, Elizabeth Moss is directing some of the episodes, which I always love seeing actors who are also directing things that they're in. And, as an actor, understanding the difficulty of it, or, the plus size of it, like the good things that can go with also taking control of what you're in and directing. There are pros and cons in both things, but I think it's very interesting as an actor if you can watch it and see, what the actor is doing, what the director is doing, and all those choices that we're making as artists. So this will be all for this week. As always, please remember to subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. It's very helpful for the podcast and for other people to find it and also learn as much as you are. Don't forget to follow the Actors Vow on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter, and also YouTube, because we put all the episodes there with video, with all the guests, and you can put it on the TV and just watch the episode, and it's a lot more fun. Thank you so much for being here another week, guys. I miss you. I love you, and I will see you next Wednesday.